Hello, everyone. Question of the day, what do bunny tails and flip-flops have in common? If you want to know the answer, you need to stay tuned. Hi, I'm Chris, and welcome to my studio. Today, Lindsay is here with me as well, answering all the questions and monitoring, keeping everything running smoothly. Thank you for joining us. If you're just popping in, let us know where you're from. And we always talk about the weather because here in Ohio, like many other places across the country, it's spring one day, one week, and winter the next. So last week we did have spring. It was gorgeous. The little birds were peeping and having a wonderful day, and then it snowed. So we have like bitter winds and cold snow. But Lindsay said this morning it could be worse. And I think a lot of places did get a huge covering of snow. So if you're someplace warm and tropical, send a little warm air our way. We certainly would appreciate it. Anyone hopping on yet, Lindsay?
Sharon Shot is here, and the chat is working because that was my question of the day. The chat
Awesome.
is working.
And I know Sharon has the same nasty weather we do, so try to stay warm, Sharon.
It's not as cold as it could be, honestly. I mean, it's what, 30 or something? And it's supposed to be warming up again, so.
Yesterday, the wind was just really bitterly blowing, and that always makes everything worse. And the sun was not shining. And
It was actually, you can tell when the wind's bad because in the building, like yesterday, it was cold in the building. Even though we have the heat on, I can always tell when the wind's bad because back in the warehouse, we have a garage door. And the wind comes in through the sides of the garage door. Linda O'Connell, come here. We've got 30 inches of snow.
Oh, Linda, you should have stayed in New Orleans.
I would have loved that, though. I mean, just 30 inches of snow just to see that.
So are you going to build a snowman, Linda?
Yeah, I want to see a snowman. Or, no, a snow duck.
Oh,
there's your challenge, Linda, a snow duck.
And take a picture because we all want to see it.
So, let's see. So Linda is here, and then we have Cheryl from Kansas, and I think it's
Kansas always gets a lot of that.
I think it's Leanne. I'm sorry, some of these YouTube names come across weird. From cold and windy Wisconsin.
Oh yeah.
Fran from Chile, South Carolina coast.
That's where it's supposed to be warm.
Yeah, I apologize because someone says Happy Tuesday from California. I don't know what your name is though, so I apologize for that. I think this is Brenda. Says hi, Chris. I'm ready for Easter painting. Linda says she's not going out.
Well, you're a chicken, Linda. I wouldn't either.
No, I would go out, and I would just go out just to go out. Like I would go out, play in the snow, said I did it, and then go back in.
Okay, next time we get a big snow, Linda, I'm going to make Lindsay go out and build a snowman duck and send you a picture.
I'm not that creative, though. I don't think I would need help sculpting. Yeah,
not
I don't think I can do it. Good morning, Susan. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Susan.
Cheryl says up and down temperatures. Yeah, I think that's part of the problem. Like, I got a bad cold last Thursday.
Oh, she was so sick.
And I was just like, it was just a bad head cold, but it was in the 60s last week, and then temperature started dropping again, and it's just up and down. So,
well, I think God's blessing us with a little hint of spring to keep us encouraged and hopeful and optimistic of a foretaste of what is to come. So hang in there, everybody that's dealing with the same up and down and cold. And it's going to come. And then we'll be complaining about the heat, right?
I will be complaining about the heat.
Not.
You don't complain about the heat, but I complain about the heat. Good morning, Mike. He's joining us from the mountains of Tennessee, one of my favorite places on earth.
It is. She got married in Tennessee.
I did, in the mountains.
Sweet memories for her.
He says he is ready for spring.
I think everyone is.
Yeah.
And, it seems like, and March is coming up. March is my, I don't want to say dreaded month, but it just seems like March is so brutal. You're so ready for spring, and we get these beautiful, gorgeous days, and you go, yes. And then it turns out and we get a snowstorm, and we're going, oh. But
George is joining us from Cleveland, where it's cold, and she has a cold. I know a lot of people that do.
Yeah, this weather is just really doesn't help that at all. So hang in there. I hope you feel better.
Marianne Eversole says she's sick of snow.
Yeah, gotcha.
All right, well, let's stop talking about cold and think spring.
Yes.
Chris's project today is definitely happy.
It is so cute. Oh my gosh, you guys are going to love this. And this is on our Keep It Simple series. And last week we did a Keep It Simple with a different kind of approach. It was a little more of a painterly Keep It Simple. This one is just fun technique, and I think you're going to love it because it is so adorable. These are the pieces I'm using, and yes, these are a pair of flip-flops. So you're going to love what happens with this. And I'm using some stencils. You don't need to use all of these stencils, but I like stencils that I can use over and over and over again. And this dot stencil, and we have several different polka dot stencils, but these are so much fun. If you're looking for anything to add a little bit of playfulness to a project, these stencils are such a great way to jazz it up quickly and just make it a little more whimsical and fun. So before we start painting, I did want to let you know I base coated all of these, and today I am using chalky paint. This is the Home Decor chalk paint. If you've not used it yet, these are great for base coats. You can put them on bare wood. You don't need to seal or prep them. It has a primer in it, so and the Arrow has one coat. It does cover extremely well. It's a little thicker bodied, a little more opaque. And for what we're doing today, one coat is pretty much sufficient. I did use Milk Jug. I love the names of these paints. This is soft or Sage Shadow. This is Milk Jug and Fired Clay. I always call it fried clay. I don't know why.
That would work. Fried clay.
Yeah, again, they should ask me. Spanish moss using Java and Barely Pink. And yes, you can substitute with the Deco Art Americana colors. All of these have similar colors because this project is such a simple project. You don't have to have specific identical colors, just something close. In fact, you could do the base coat on the Arrow would be pretty in like an aqua or a blue. You could do pinks. You could switch this up any way you want.
Whispering turquoise.
Whispering turquoise would be gorgeous. So I did put one coat on, and I'm going to use the polka dot stencil, and I wanted the polka dots to be a little not straight up and down. So I'm turning it. I didn't want them to fill the Arrow evenly, so I'm just going to give it a little bit of a kind of an odd twist on there just to give a little more interest. And I always tape it down because I always end up moving it around, and I've tried to do it without taping it down. It just makes me frustrated because I always end up shifting it and then have that double stencil. I'm using the Milk Jug, and I'm just going to dip out of the lid. I think that's going to work well. Instead of pouring out, I don't need much paint. Probably should get a paper towel. I've loaded it pretty well with the paint. Oops, a paper towel. Took a nosedive. I'm just going to wipe it off on a paper towel. I just want paint on there. I don't want it heavy. And I did a sample Sunday night, and it was, I want it a little bit heavier than that. And I'm just going to, I have like a whisper touch because I want to kind of dry brush this in, and it's a little heavy. So I'm just going to go kind of quickly. I'm doing a circular motion. My arrows scooching around. The surface on this top is very slick.
You need the mat that I have.
Yeah, I need a mat under there.
I have a mat, a non-slip mat for the computer.
Oh,
right here.
She does.
Yeah, she needs it.
Okay. I put a paper towel on there to kind of hold it down.
So while she's stenciling, in the pattern, this is actually listed as an optional stencil. So you could, we were talking about it this morning, use a sponsor and just do dots, you know. But this stencil is going to be linked in the chat if you're interested. It's a great everyday stencil. And I think they come, I think there's 3 different sizes of this series of dot background stencil. And we have other dot backgrounds as well.
Some stencils are just nice to have on hand because you can use them over and over, and they're very functional. You get more bang for your buck, for sure. And you can see I've done all of this and I've only loaded it once. Let me get just a little bit more. And I'm going to shift the stencil down. And I'm just going to line up that last couple rows. And I'm going to shift it over one more, and that way I can do the whole thing. Now I'm missing a dot down there. Okay, we'll just do that. Now this, I just stenciled, but it's fairly dry. So I'm going to put tape over it gently. I don't want to do it too heavily. And because I want to blend these together, I'm going to start on this end and work that way. When you first load your brush, it's going to be obviously a little darker and heavier. So by the time I get to the middle, it should be evened out. You can see I've wiped it off several times and it's still pretty heavy. The one I did Sunday night was a little bit lighter, and I decided I wanted the dots to be a little bit stronger. So I'm going to give that a try on this. I thought they needed to show up just a bit more. Oh, Lindsay, do you want to tell about the downloadable pattern that we have for this?
So this is, Chris decided to do a new series of patterns, and we're calling them the Keep It Simple series, of course. And these patterns are, what's the word for it? Less expensive. So for instance, this one here, the download e-pattern is only $3. Now, keep in mind, these patterns do not come with line drawings because you don't need it. You do not need a line drawing. This one in particular comes with a full-size picture, but it is stencil based, so you really don't need much line drawing, if any at all, because there's nothing to do. So,
but if you do, you could just trace the picture.
Right, right. So the e-pattern is $3. The paper pattern will be $4. And with this new series, that's what it's going to be. They're going to be lower price patterns and e-patterns, but they're not going to have line drawings. So
we had a lot of requests last week for a pattern, and so we thought about it and decided that might not be a bad option. Okay, the little feet. Again, this is going to be optional, but I love my egg stencils. I use my egg stencils over and over and over. So I wanted to put his little paw pads on there. And the best way to do that is with a stencil. And I'm just going to get some of this. This is barely pink, and it is barely pink. And again, I loaded my brush, because I'm just going to do one shape. I am just going to, I'm pouncing this a little heavier. This is such a pale color that it's, until it dries, it's just not as visible as probably on the camera.
you can actually see it pretty good.
Okay. I wanted to keep this a little more muted. I think this would be fun too, if you wanted to jazz it up a little bit and use a brighter pink, maybe put some polka dots in here, or even a little stripes or plaids would be adorable. And I'm going to use the heart egg stencils for his little toe pads. And I keep the fat part toward the top. Actually, I'm going to switch this back over. I don't think it'll smear, but I don't want to take a chance. And I probably need just a hint more paint. And you can see I just put out a dot of paint because this is, when you stencil, it's not a heavy coverage. And I think we always squirt our paint, over squirt our paint. And I'm pouncing this as opposed to swirling. It just gives, again, a little heavier coverage. Now, when you stencil, it covers the stencil as well, so I can't see through it. So I'm going to wipe it off in between so that I can visually place it. Again, you could use a filbert and just paint this on, but how easy is this? And this is keep it simple. So we're just going to stay along with that and just put those in. And you could give this a quick dry in between if you're worried about smearing it. For the sake of time, I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that it's not going to be an issue. And this chalk paint does dry rather quickly. And a little, I did bump down to a smaller rim for this little pinky toe. And a little bit, I can't see. You wouldn't think just that little bit of paint would make a difference. Take time to wipe it off for placement because you want to make sure that these little pads are pretty much in the center. They don't have to be perfect, but if they're way off, it just doesn't look right. Okay, so I'm just going to wipe that off because trying to get it off later might be an issue. My stencil brushes are a soft bristle brush. So I can switch from light to dark, or I can switch from one color to the next just by washing it out and towel drying it, which is one of the requirements I had before I created a brush. I wanted a brush that I didn't have to wait until it dried to change colors. So I'm just going to wash that out. This is a fun stencil. This is Carrot Patch. And I'm just going to line it up.
So this stencil is actually called Mr. Cottontail's Carrot Patch, but it will, if you buy the bundle for this design, which comes with the paper pattern, the wood kit, and it will come with this stencil.
And that's the bundle, right?
That's the bundle.
Okay. Just make sure that it's straight, and it does line up pretty well on this left side. I'm going to switch over to Deco Art Soft Black. You could use lamp black. I just like that look of a little bit, not quite so bold. And I'm going to load my brush up, wipe it over a paper towel. I have a fair amount of moisture in there. I'm just going to wipe it off a little bit more. See if I can throw the paper towels at Lindsay again. And again, I anchored it down with a piece of tape just so it doesn't shift around. I want my letters to be fairly crisp and clean, but they don't have to be heavy and solid and perfect. And I'll show you why in just a minute. Because I've just put paint on my brush, I have a super light touch, and I kind of like to go in an area to kind of, I say kind of a lot, to even that paint out so it's not super heavy and then get lighter, lighter, lighter. So I can go across it, and once I know what's in my brush, I can do that soft swirl. I like to swirl this way and that way, and it encourages the paint to fill the entire letter on all of the edges. Have you ever pulled it up and like one side of the lettering isn't as clean as the other side? If you're swirling, it's because the bristles aren't going into all of those areas evenly. Be careful that you don't get paint in those areas that are off of the stencil. And you could take a piece of tape and kind of mask that off. Just be aware. just put a hint of paint on my brush. It doesn't take much. And I'll just go down across this bottom. And once I know how much paint is on my brush, I can increase my pressure accordingly. I want more of an airbrush look as opposed to a solid heavy look. I'm trying to be conservative with the paint. I don't want to have to get more out, and I might have to. You definitely want the tone or the opaqueness to be even. So if you have to reload, by all means, don't be too conservative on that. Oh, that's cute. Those polka dots show up really well. I was hoping they would. I'm going to let this dry. Go back to all the little feet. And let's go ahead and work on these. Well, I'm going to let these little feet dry just a bit longer. I want to take some, give it just a hint of distressing. Because I have not put a heavy coat of paint, when I go to distress, I am going to take it off of there. I can go over those green and see how it just buffs the edges. I'm going to anchor it down and pull it toward myself. And I want it to look a little bit distressed. Now, if you don't want to do this, this is entirely optional. I kind of like this look. If you want it to be more solid, put a couple coats of paint on it, do your magic with shading and highlighting. I think that would be really nice too. In fact, I keep thinking I should do one way and one the other way, just so you can see the difference. I kind of lean down on the edges. Does that show up, Lindsay? When I'm sanding, I pull it towards me. I don't know if it would make a difference, but on the carrot, the little ridges go that way. I try to go sand in a direction that makes sense. And these are little pieces, so be aware. They can be delicate, so don't be too aggressive. You definitely don't want those to. I just want those edges to show. And there's a couple reasons I want the edges to show. I'm going to go back, float a little bit of antiquing around the edges. On those bare areas, it's going to grab a little bit more and be a little bit darker. And I think that just will enhance that distressed look a little bit. And I'm going to clean this up because that is orange and green. And you can see, if you leave that on your tabletop and you're working with white, you're going to get that tint of color in there. So let's go back to his little feet and his tail. I wondered if this would be too aggressive. We'll give it a try. This is a sponge sanding pad. I'm thinking it's going to go. I'm sanding my tabletop. I should probably not do that. Maybe I should put it on here. Yeah, this is a little more aggressive. So if you want to bump up the distressing, go with a stronger sanding pad. Now, when I painted this, I used, on the arrow, I used my 1.5" short wash. On the white pieces, I used the 3/4 inch oval wash. I'm able to get just long, even strokes on that. And that's what I want. I'm going back with the finer sanding pad just to even out that top layer of that chalk paint. And it just makes it silky smooth. It's just really nice. And This is just a little hard to hang on to. This is a little bit heavier grip. Does it say on here, this is 150 and this is it's the same. Okay, it feels a little, maybe this one's just worn down a little bit more. Just real quickly bumping that down. Just get that little bit. And on here, I'm going to do the edges, and I'm not worried about the little paw pads. I go over that just a little bit. I want this to look evenly distressed. And you can see all the sanding that I've done is coming off. Probably not a bad idea to put something down to catch all those little sanding parts. This is so quick and easy, and I love the end results on this. Okay, give me a minute just to clean this up. And it's probably not a good idea to use it on a paint palette that you're getting ready to use, because you definitely don't want to get those little grits into your paint. So we have all of our pieces are sanded. Oh my goodness, Lindsay, I didn't do this one. Okay. On this one, I want to make sure those corner edges are nice and sanded. I'm going to go back to the palette. Sorry, guys. Oh, I'm tearing up my sanding pad.
Pressing a little too hard.
I am. I really dug into that. You can see all the crumbles that came off of that. And you want to make sure definitely that your paint is nice and dry. And I'm hoping mine is. I did not hit it with my drying heat dryer. And also what this does, it kind of gets rid of those sharp edges. And just tones everything down a little bit. Okay, there we go. And what I want to do next is just add a little bit of antiquing. I am using Java, and this is the chalk paint. I just stayed with the theme of chalk paint. But I want to make sure that this is thinned down. And remember I said earlier the chalk paint has a thicker body. So I am using a fair amount of moisture in my brush. And this is a very intense color. It's absolutely beautiful, but it can be very overpowering, especially on these pastel colors. So
Jen commented when you were sanding, got to hold it on the side.
Yeah, I found that out, Jen. And I'm just floating this around the edge. Can you see how much darker that is where I sanded it? I wondered if Jen was with us this morning.
Yeah, she joined late because Paisley was waking up right when we started.
Bad timing, Paisley. We got to get a paintbrush in that little girl's hand. She can't even hold a spoon yet, so I think it'll be a little bit.
You can do finger paints first.
Yeah.
Right?
Can you see how casual I'm shading this on? A lot of moisture. I don't want it to be too intense, but I think just that little bit, what a difference that makes. A little bit of paint makes a big difference. My motto for so many things. I'm using the 3/4 inch so that I can cover the area rather quickly. And also, when you use a bigger brush, it teaches you to relax a little bit more and not be so fussy. And I can go back and enhance those corners, which I probably will. Isn't that cute? I mean, just how simple is that? And I think it looks great. Now, before we had talked about stenciling, filling in the bridges. On this one, I didn't think it needed it. I thought that kind of added to the whole appearance of the project. I'm just going to take this and kind of quickly go around, and you can see how quickly I can go around with this big old brush. And does it have to be perfect? No, but I don't want that ghost line. So I'm going to make sure this part of my brush stays clean. The paint is just on the toe, and I can scoot it around. I don't need to do the bottom. That's all I need on that. Let's go around this little feet. Okay, for the feet, I'm going to bump down to a 1/2 inch just because it's a smaller piece and I need a little more control. So I'm just doing a lot of moisture. And you can tell if it's so dark on here that you can't see the pink, it's too much. Now, because I have so much moisture on my brush, I can scoot the thing around the whole entire piece. Move that paint around where it's too dark, like over here. I'll just go back over it and soften it down. If it's too dark, I'll just clean my brush and lighten it up a little bit. So let the brush just do the majority of the work and don't be overthinking it. Kind of slow down around those little curves. And you can see why the 3/4 would be a little bit bulky on this little piece, because I just want to go around those outer edges. And again, if I need to darken them down, I'll let it dry. I don't want it to look dirty. And this is a beautiful brown. It's a great antiquing shade, but if it's too heavy on these light pieces, it can look, well, but he's digging in dirt, right?
He's hopping around the carrot patch.
So yeah, I think that. Let's get the carrots. I'm going to be just a little more aggressive on the carrots because they're not pastel. And I can be a little heavier handed. And I think that works out really well on that. And I think it's hard to not, I mean, we've shaded carefully for so many years. It's hard sometimes just to relax and put a fun little quick float on there and not have to worry about it being perfect. Okay, guys, what's the worst that could happen? If you don't like it, you just buff it down a little bit and it'll lighten that shading up. So give it a try, a lot of moisture. See how quick that goes. Long strokes, a lot of moisture in your brush. Let that paint just really flow on there nicely and evenly. And those little bare tips that were sanded down are now they're just a really nice, rich brown that blends into that green. It's beautiful. To me, that richens it up so much. Love that. We have shaded all these pieces so quickly. And I think they look fantastic. Little bunny tail. This one will just go around.
So Marty asked, do the chalk paints dry true to color?
I would say yes.
I think so.
Yeah. This is the...
That's fairly close, yeah.
Every paint dries just a bit darker, but pretty much they're just a really nice paint to work with. I love them for base coating because they go on so nicely. that is done. Now I do want to work on the little feet just a bit. And I'm going to give it a quick little dry. And I think it's pretty much dry, but you can always feel it. If it feels a little bit cool, then you know that it's not quite ready. I'm going to do a little bit of pen work, and I want to make sure that it's. And I'm going to use my Adena-Pen. I should have checked this, Lindsay, to make sure that this is a good one. Okay. And I want to just kind of bring out those little pads. Yeah. And I'm just going to kind of scoot around the outer edge, put little dashes, little dots. You could do some little stitches, whatever you want. And I'm not too worried about if it's perfect, because this is the Keep It Simple series. And I think when you add little embellishments like this, it just makes it a lot of, brings in a lot of whimsy, and so adorable. Let's put some down here. Now, if your paint is not dry, your pen's not going to work well. So keep that in mind. If you go faster than the ink can flow out of the tip, it's going to be thin or sketchy or not quite strong. And we want a nice heavy line. So slow down a bit.
And like we said last week with the, was it that one that we said that with? Yeah, the daisies on that. If you don't want to use an Adena-Pen, you could use a liner and black paint. Right, Chris?
Absolutely, yes.
If it was me doing this, I would use the pen.
And for years, I was more comfortable with a liner than a pen, but with the Keep It Simple series, I've learned to kind of relax a little bit. And if you've not tried the pen, I would encourage you to give it a try. It's just another avenue of adding the elements of design.
We did have some people ask about the microns. You could, of course, use a micron for this if you wanted to. Chris just chooses to use the Adena-Pen, but a micron would work as well.
On the microns, they have like fine to heavy tip. I would lean a little more toward the heavier tip just for visibility. And what's nice about this, you don't have to worry about being exact or perfect. We like that. This is our play time. Add a little bit on the flip-flops. Just want to do a little bit of stitch work around here. And I'm telling you what, if you want to do stitch work in a large area, absolutely give the pen a shot, because reloading and getting all these fine lines can be a challenge. And I thought it would be kind of cute to use a stencil on the tail to maybe like, what is that? The flourish stencil to give a little bit of a design on the tail.
Oh, yeah.
But I wanted to keep it simple. So I just went with this for today.
Yes, keep it simple.
And this just adds a little more design on that little tail, makes it look a little fluffier. Oh, how cute. And we probably need to do the sign as well. I think sometimes adding this little bit of line work makes it look like you have spent so much time on this. I think I'll put a few little dashes in there. And those little imperfections, again, just become whimsy. So let those kind of play into it. If you have shaky hands, oh my gosh, this is just perfect, because that way you put your own thumbprint on it and not have to worry about being perfect. And it just, I know I've stressed that a lot, but I think so often we strive so hard to have the project that's absolutely flawless. And when people look at it, they don't analyze it like we do. When you're working on it, you're going, oh man, that one's crooked and this one's not. And just let it kind of be this is what we do for fun. So this is going to be our relaxed time. And I started over there with regular dashes, and I'm ending up not doing that. And I don't think it's going to matter, because I don't think it's going to matter. This is my piece and I want it. I'll do it like I want it. And I'm just going to kind of try to bring this together, because some of these I put dashes and some of them I didn't. So I just added a few and they all come together. Now, this is not like this, but it's okay because it works well. Nobody will notice it except me and you. Okay, so I think all of the pieces are finished. We're going to assemble this, and this is so adorable. And you can tell the flip-flops are my little bunny's bottom.
So this is where the question from the beginning of the live came into play.
Where do flip-flops and what do flip-flops and bunny tails have in common? Is this adorable? Oh my gosh. Now I'm going to kind of manipulate his feet a little bit so that you still can read this. Oh, I forgot my little pieces, Lindsay.
What pieces?
I needed a couple little riser pieces, just little blanks, like wood dots.
I'll be back.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and start gluing this together. And I'm using hot glue. I won't hurt myself. And just so I know where this is going to go, I'm going to grab a pencil. Put a little bit of glue down here. I usually don't glue big pieces on, but because I know exactly where this is going to go, I can do it quickly. I always worry about the glue setting up. And we're going to add these little carrots on there. I didn't want them to be perfectly angled. Just want to create. Maybe it'd be better to put it on here. It's kind of fun too to bump it off the edge of the plaque. Now I noticed right here that I need just a hint more of that shading. I'm just going to tap that in there. So if there's any areas that you see, you think, oh, I should have put a little more shading there, a little more distressing, no big deal to add that in. While I'm at it, I'm going to put just a hint right along here. Not much, just enough to kind of blend that all together. Now, the feet are going to sit up a little bit. So what I do is I put a couple little, these are...
They're noses.
They are noses. But I can put these on here as a, what would you call it? Like a, I want to call it a bumper, but it's not a riser that's going to even it out. It's the thickness of this. If you don't have a little piece, you could also use cardboard, like the corrugated cardboard.
Funny story, I went in there, didn't know, couldn't find anything, so I started digging into trash cans.
Yeah.
And John stopped me. He's like, well, here, just use these.
So I'm going to put that right on there. The thing is with this, see how it is a little bit uneven? When I put that little dot on there, that little bit, it's going to make sure that stays in place. It's not going to rock back and forth. You can see why I didn't need to continue those dotted lines all down through there. So I'm going to glue the big toe down and put a little dot there. And a little dot here. And that's going to,
Oh.
Lindsay,
That's hot.
she burnt herself today.
No, I didn't. It was just water.
Oh, okay.
So Eileen said, won't the hot glue come apart? For instructional purposes, we use hot glue because it dries immediately for this. If we were going to use this like a permanent thing, Chris would use like tacky glue or something, or quick grip or something like that. But because hot glue dries so fast while we're doing a video, that's why we use hot glue.
I use, are you burnt?
No.
Okay. I use the quick, Eileen's quick grab,
Fast grab or something. Yeah, that's what Chris uses usually.
There's a
at
lot,
home.
yeah, there's a lot of really good quick drying glues out there. So
Now the quick drying glue doesn't dry as fast as hot glue, but we just use the hot glue for television purposes.
I should have scooted this over a little bit. I don't know if I can pry it up or not.
It's hot glue. You should be able to.
I know. I'm afraid I was going to break my little carrot. And the reason is I'm going to put a bow right there. But you know what, Lindsay? I really
You really pressed down.
I did.
I'll just leave it. Oh,
There it goes. Okay. I want to put a little bow on there. So I want to make sure I have enough room, and I did not. So I can glue this. Oh my gosh, my glue gun's a mess.
yeah, we're having an issue with the glue gun.
Lindsay's worried about me.
Well, yeah, because she doesn't have a good track record with this thing.
Okay, I took some hemp and I just made a little bow. And this one has 3 loops on it. I like hemp because you can kind of mold it and it stays loopy. The loops stay open. That wasn't worded very well. She's holding her breath because I will burn myself. I didn't bring my little silicone
You
tool.
didn't know.
No. And where that comes together, if I stick a little bow on there, you'll never see if it's perfectly painted or not. This one is a little bit smaller. And I'm going to trim these down just a bit.
Arlene has a tip. I keep a cup of or a bowl of water handy. Immediately put your bird part in it to stop it.
Oh, really?
Silicone fingers work great too.
I have trouble with those silicone fingers. They're kind of bulky. They do work well.
Well, that's a good idea. Maybe we need to keep water in here.
An ice cube. All right, so I have a button box that came from my grandma and my great aunt back in the day when people's clothing wore out, they used everything. So instead of snipping the buttons off, they just cut them off, and the thread is still in there, which I think is so cool, because I look at this and I say, my grandma sewed this on. So these are her stitches. Kind of a sweet little memory. A little button right in the middle. You can get buttons at Walmart, Hobby Lobby.
You can buy a bag of assorted buttons.
Yeah.
If you can't find them, sometimes look in the scrapbooking section. A lot of times they have buttons sitting in there.
Good idea. And if you want to have thread in, just take some hemp and stick it in there. So cute. I love this. Put a little, let's see if I can do this. This is Lindsay's job.
No, I just glue. That's the only job I have when it comes to this stuff.
I thought it would be cute to have a little jute string on it, and I pre-cut this, so it may be a little bit short. We will find out. Usually what you do is put a little piece of tape on that and shove it through, but I think we'll get, oh, it's gonna work. And then tie a knot over here. We've got an instant hanger. You could use wire, put a couple little beads. I love when they have just a couple little beads on them. I mean, how cute is that? Now this one is not as involved as what we did last week, but I think it is just adorable, and it would be such a great gift. Doesn't take much time. It's not expensive. You could crank these out. How much time do we spend on this, Lindsay?
I'd say about 45 minutes or so between talking and yeah, because we're at 53 right now. So.
Okay. So there you go, guys. If you want to do a bunch of them, you could base coat them all at one time, and then you could, you know, do assembly all one time, and it just goes super fast. So, if you missed this, this will be on YouTube. The replay will be on YouTube.
All of the replays from our lives are on our YouTube channel. They do remain on Facebook for only 30 days. That's not our choice. That's Facebook doing that. But any video, any live, it is on our YouTube channel, Cover Distributing. But all those, any of the live videos would be under the live section. There's a live section, and then there's like a video section. So.
And I want to show you this. This is a wood carrot that I just wrapped in orange jute. But if you don't have that color, you could just wrap it in jute or yarn and paint it. But this is another really cute project. If you want to stick it in a little bowl, these would be so cute together.
Should we tell them what Laura and I both said?
Okay, so I showed this to my daughter, Laura, and she said, Mom, is that the stuff that came out of my aquarium? And I said, no, I got it off of Garland. So I brought it in and showed it to Lindsay. And Lindsay said, hey, did that come out of an aquarium? I said, okay, so. I
mean, Laura and I are the same age. So it's like, that looks like aquarium greenery, but it's just a garland. So
I did a short on this. That's on YouTube. So check that out. But yeah, I thought that was funny.
Aquarium greenery would work.
It works. You can use anything. In fact, I did this one last year, and this is a totally different greenery. This is the same wood piece. I just wrapped it in jute. So, you know, it gives you a little bit of a variety. You could paint it, you could put real greenery on it, or you could get whatever will work as long as it's green. So, okay, so last week we did the butterfly, and I got it all together. And this is what I use when I glue it. Just put clips on it to keep it in place until the glue dries. And last week I did it this way, but I think I kind of like it fluttering up. So I'm going to glue that on there. And then you can tell me which one you like best, fluttering up or fluttering down. And I have the one behind me that I did last week that goes down. So let me know your opinion on that as well. What else, Lindsay?
There's been some questions about an Easter interchangeable design.
Oh,
It is in process.
yes.
Should be out hopefully next week.
Yeah.
She's currently painting it. And there also has been questions about a spring interchangeable design. So look for that after the Easter one. We've got a little more time for spring. Georgia said up on the butterfly.
Up. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Thank you.
And then this Thursday, there will be a new design released. So be on the lookout for that. Probably go live about 10 a.m. on Thursday morning.
And that one's really unique.
It's different. It's very different.
Yes.
But that'll go live on Thursday morning.
If you like the butterfly, you're going to love the one that comes out Thursday.
Okay, I'm gonna flip the camera.
And do we still have time for the class signups for the Easter fence?
You can sign up until, I believe, so class is Wednesday, so Monday. So what we're talking about is the Easter fence. It's not, there we go. The Easter fence friends Zoom class. Now, I will say you might not get the surface. You're kind of cutting it close on shipping because the class is a week from tomorrow. But it is not too late to sign up for the class. If you sign up for the class and you don't have your surface, of course, you do get the download. The download will come the next day because it has to finish on the Zoom before we can download it and send it. So
for all you painters that love to paint at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., you can watch the replay, the download, and paint at your leisure. So that, what a wonderful option to be able to go back and review. And, if you're a slower painter, you can stop and just paint at your own speed and just really enjoy creating.
Everyone says they like up on the butterflies better.
Thank you. I did too. I thought that was really fluttering up. I don't know why I turned it down, but.
Eileen says there is a spring interchangeable. It's the beautiful one. That actually was meant to be a summer one, but it would work for spring. But there is going to be another one that will be spring coming out next month sometime.
Kind of working it out in my head.
And there might be, we were talking about this morning, there might be more interchangeables. She was thinking she was done, and we kind of talked about it. She might not be done yet.
It's such a diverse piece, and the fact that you can paint both sides, you have one frame, you can pop it out, pop it in, just makes it really easy, not only for display but for storage. And you get, if you paint both sides, you get what I call double your money for for the
That's
design.
What's nice about it is you can buy one surface and do two designs on it because the frame is always the same color, so it's just those two inserts that you change. So okay.
All right. Any other questions?
No. Susan, I don't know if you saw, she asked what paint you use. I did copy them in there as a reply. They're also available if you go to a website and you look on the pattern, they're listed underneath the description for there. They're mainly chalk paints, and then she did use soft black Americana paint to do the stenciling of the letters. But that is also available on our website. And
they do go a long way. You get an 8-ounce jar. And so that would be equivalent to 4 2-ounce bottles of.
I honestly think we're still using the same 8-ounce jar of white that Jen and I opened like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Because we used it for base coating. But yeah, we're still using that same one.
So if you don't use your paint up, sometimes what I do is I get this my little distress mister. Are we up or down, Lindsay?
It's on you.
Okay. So the little distress mister, what I will do, if I'm using my paint and I've kept my jar open, normally I just put a little bit out on my palette, but if I've kept my jar open, I'll take and just go poof, poof, and it puts a little moisture back in. So if any has evaporated, upside down, if any has evaporated, it kind of restores some of that moisture. I wouldn't put a ton of water in it, but just to mist it. And I've done this with a lot of my paints, and I do believe it helps them to keep from drying out. All paint will dry out if you leave the lid off. With the smaller jar bottles, they have just that little hole with a chalk paint. You're taking that big lid off, so you're exposing it to the air a lot more. And this will, just that little poof of moisture just kind of restores some of that. It makes it stay fluid a little bit longer. I don't know if Plaid would agree with that, but I found that
if it works for you,
out, yeah.
I mean, that's just a tip for you, not coming from Plaid, coming from Chris. So
I do that with my, not my sealers, but the jars of varnish where you take the lid off. I put some water back in there. I'll just poof it a couple of times because
the varnish is water based. So.
Yeah, I dip it out of the jar and brush it on, and so and it lasts clear to the end when I do that. I do that with Snow-Tex. A lot of times my Snow-Tex, if I don't use it often, will dry out and harden up, but keep a little moisture in there. That will extend the life of the jar considerably. So.
Well, as always, if you have any questions after the live is over, you can put them in on YouTube or on Facebook, or of course you can email info@cdwood.com. That's my email, and I will make sure Chris gets them.
Yes.
Otherwise, we will be back next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern with another live.
I've got a cute project in mind, so I just have to work out the little details, but I think it's going to be fun and you'll enjoy it a lot. So, okay, well, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate all of your input. And if you have any questions, like Lindsay said, just get a hold of us. Be sure to check out my YouTube channel, Create with Chris. And also if you look Cupboard Distributing, it will pop up.
It's actually at Cupboard Distributing, but if you search Create with Chris, it'll come up too. So yeah. Be
sure to subscribe, like, and all of that, because that helps me. And that way you won't miss out on upcoming videos. So
Arlene asked, are you using distilled water for that?
I don't know. I should, but I just use regular water on it.
Like bottled water, right?
Lindsay told me, because mine stopped up at home. I have hard water at home, and it stopped up. And she said, run hot water through it. Yeah. And it worked.
But for the purpose of the paint, like you just use bottled water. We don't use the tap water out here because it's gross. Yeah. But we don't even drink it at the building. No. It's bad. Yeah, I would use bottled water. I don't know necessarily distilled, but I don't know. Well, Chris has been doing this for quite a long time, has never had an issue. So
the only thing at home, like I said, we have hard water.
Well, you have well water, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And it kind of clogged it up, and I thought I needed a new bottle. And Lindsay said, "No, just use hot water."
Yeah, if that clogs, just use hot water. Yeah.
I thought I would put a little bit of vinegar and squirt it through. So whatever. It's just the scaling of the water. So if you know your water, if it has buildup in it, then definitely use bottled water.
I would, just to be safe, because city water, you never know what's in it. Same with well water. I would just use bottled water just to be safe. Yeah. If you feel more comfortable using distilled, use distilled. But Chris has never had problems just using regular bottled water to do this, and she's been doing this for a long time with putting the moisture in the paints. So, but yeah, definitely, if you're more comfortable using distilled, you can of course use distilled. So.
And I like this
She can't talk today, but it's almost lunchtime, so I think our blood sugar's low.
It could be. Distress sprayer, because it just puts a mist out. It's not a heavy spray. Yeah. And it seems like it's more controllable. You don't get an overspray with that.
Someone said, Leanne said, I'll try to remember the poof poof. Thanks. Yeah. All right.
Okay. Well, until our next adventure together, remember, a little bit of paint makes a big difference. We'll see you. Bye-bye.